the special open meeting of the City of Town Council on September the 12th, 2023 at 6:30 in council chambers. I will first of all ask council please for an approval of the agenda. Thank you, Councillor Chong, Councillor King, all in favor. Thank you. And I will read the opening remarks from the chair at this special open meeting. And then I have a few remarks of my own as well. If you wish to speak, once it is time for public presentation and are attending in person, you need
You need to speak louder.
Yeah. Is my microphone on?
So the microphones, I'm just gonna mention, it's actually meant for the chambers, they're actually meant for Zoom. So it's as loud as it's gonna get in.
Yeah,
by the
Just
speaker.
project your voice.
I'll try and talk in my teacher voice. It's usually louder. So if you wish to speak, when it's your turn, your name will be called. Please proceed to the microphone and commence your remarks clearly by stating your name and address. It will be your turn to speak once. This is an adapted one, so I'm reading between the lines. Based on your name, Mrs. Hilson will have the sheets of people who have signed up on the table over there, and those people will be called. If they wish, members of council may ask you questions following your presentation. In accordance with council procedure bylaw, presentations by members of the public shall be limited to 5 minutes each. Please refrain from applause or other expressions of emotion during this meeting so that we may ensure an impartial meeting as possible. So thank you all for coming. When we had this meeting, public meeting last year, I think we had 5 people. So there's quite a few more than we had anticipated. I just want to say a few remarks about the budget process. And we know that you have seen the possible rate increase this year, the budget increase. Believe me, it's something that we will look at very carefully and we all need to deal with. All of us up here are also members of the public who pay the same thing. I was reading a very good article by Gord Hume the other day, who is well known across Canada. He said there is a need for councils to reset municipal financial balance. Cities and towns cannot manage programs and infrastructure from just property taxes. As an option, Toronto over the next 10 years has a 46.5 billion funding gap. So that is similar to many places across the country. We have similar interests, as do in the same as all of the other towns and cities in BC. Everybody is going through a difficult time right now, mainly asset management, looking at what you've got, how it can be managed, the costs of that. And in Osoyoos, we are one of the places that's compounded, because while we have 5,500 people who live here, we have 20,000 people who visit us in the summertime, and maybe for 6 months of the year in busy seasons. So we have to not only plan our infrastructure for the people who actually live here, but for our visitors as well. And we know that our town depends on tourists and visitors to keep our businesses going. Just so that you know, we all of us are on council, and our CAO are going to UBCM next week, Union of BC Municipalities. We have meetings with 5 different ministries to talk to them about water and sewer and housing and healthcare and I've forgotten, there's one more, but we are well prepared to do that and spend some time talking to the ministers and their staff. When we put out an RFP, a request for proposal for projects, the cost of labor has increased dramatically. The cost of parts and equipment that we need. And oftentimes when we have a project ready and we put it out for request, by the time we get it back, it's doubled in cost. This is not particular just to Osoyoos. This is happening everywhere. So I'll give you a good example, because you've all certainly heard about the water treatment plant that we're very excited to have gotten a grant for $9 million from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs. It turns out in doing the legwork on that and looking at the water and where we can do this, there were other issues that were just discovered, and it's probably going to cost us double. So we're going to go back and see if we can get more grants, but just so that you know, those are the kinds of things we deal with on a daily basis. The town is starting early to look at our budget. You've seen the proposed budget out. We are wanting to get input from you tonight on what you think is important. And if there are other items in the budget that you think we should include in the budget, we would like to know about those as well. So I will start by acknowledging the correspondence that we have received and is in the binder here. We had an email from Kel Peterson, an email from Glenn Greenwood, an email from Levi. Thank you. Gogolinsky, I believe, I hope that I said that, and an email from Barry Romanko. So we're now going to go to the public presentation. And I will ask people, I have my list here, I will ask people to come up and speak at the microphone. Please remember your name and your address. Mrs. Helson, address as well. Name and address, and please know that we have, because there's so many people, we do have a stopwatch, and we will be allowing certainly 5 minutes. If at the end of the evening and you still have something else that you would like to say, we will at that point look and see if there is time to do that. So first on our list is Stu Wells.
You're on, Stu.
Thank you. Safety first.
Yes.
Oh my, first out of the chute.
Welcome, Mayor Wells.
Stu Wells, 26 Foods Court, long-term resident.
Yes.
When we started looking at the budget and where you are, I wish you all the best. You've got a huge job in front of you, and everyone's watching. So there's a few concerns that I see that I just like to probably re-emphasize, because I think you know everything that's in front of you. And it's a time for caution. I think our little town is hurting a bit, getting through a very, very tough summer. Lots of people not getting employment that they're used to. You know, people that are serving and that. I mean, I know people that are serving that can make $300 a night of tips. Well, I don't think they did that this year. And in town, we're seeing the start of some businesses. To me, the Wildfire Grill was a huge loss. And hopefully it's not a harbinger of things to come, because it sure could be. And it's the people that work there that we're concerned about. It's the staff. You know, the owner too, but it's the staff and those jobs. And that's what's important about the town. That's who our town is young people working. And I think you have to be very careful that these taxes that are coming, unfortunately, they're coming at the wrong time. And we all know in life, it's a matter of timing. You know, you do the same thing 2 different times, and one's a winner and one's a dog. And I think you have to be careful that these are winners and that you're going down the path to be winners. Because in this small town that I've lived in since 1953. I've seen everything that there is to see, and we really rely on a tourism-driven economy. We got the border, the customs, and like that, but there's not a lot of employment here. And it's the fiber of the town that we're worried about. And that's what we have to be so darn careful with. And it wasn't that long ago, we were all up at the high school, as it was going to be closed. And if we're not careful and keep these people with housing and employment, they're not going to be here with their kiddies filling the schools. And believe it or not, we could go back to a threat on our schools again. And if you have a town that doesn't have a school, I don't know what kind of town it is. I don't know what kind of town it is. So you really have to be careful. I don't think, I like Barry Romango's letter. And he has the inside skill to write the letter on where this council could go and look and see where some savings are. And I really believe that the timing for increases is not now. And I know we need the services, I know we need the facilities. Again, timing is everything, and a lot of stuff can be deferred, and I see cars and, he had a great letter. Everybody should be informed of that letter and looking at areas that we can save money and hold things back and hold things in check. So there's a little town hurting, believe me. So, all the best in your deliberations, and, I hope you get the timing right. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Martha Collins.
Martha Collins, 26 Fuji Court. Mayor, council, and staff, thank you for the opportunity to comment on your proposed budget. My greatest concern is that when making important budget decisions, as you will be, that you will take into consideration the very real financial constraints of some of our most vulnerable citizens. In research published this morning by research company and Glacier Media, 29% of British Columbia residents place housing, homelessness, and poverty in the most important issues facing Canada. In southern BC, 58% of respondents said it's very difficult or moderately difficult to make ends meet. 67% are under financial stress, and 66% of respondents indicate that this leads to family stress. 43.7% of people living in Osoyoos are considered low income, according to the 2021 census, and the all ages poverty rate in Osoyoos is 13.2%. A 12.73% increase in property taxes will place a large burden on many residents who are at the tipping point of losing their homes. In speaking to the Osoyoos Food Bank today, from August 2022 until August 2023, there has been a 105% increase in people requiring assistance. With food prices at 7.79% in July and shelter up 5.12%, I feel it's really important for staff and council to differentiate between needs and wants. Now is not the time to be spending taxpayer dollars frivolously. Not all financially vulnerable citizens are homeowners, but they are renters. With the province's rent increase capped at 3.5% for 2024 and your property tax set at 12.73%, many landlords will be unable to continue to rent their properties. This will certainly reduce the rental pool in town and drive up rents across the board. No wonder almost a third of people in BC see housing, homelessness, and poverty as the #1 issue facing Canada. You have a very unique opportunity in deciding what to include or delete from this budget. Former CAO Romango offered excellent suggestions to retain needed services while reducing the budget. please ensure that you keep in mind the current economic concerns of your constituents and that your constituents have and return to taxpayers a reasonable plan that is not tone deaf like the original budget was. Thank you for your consideration in this very important subject, and I trust that you will be successful at UBCM next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Simon Fellow.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor McCarthy, everybody. My name is Simon Marcelli, 8301 Queens Lane. Since 1990, town of Osoyo's mayors and councillors and chief administrative officer placed too heavy a burden on taxpayers by allowing True Consulting, the Kamloops company, to act on behalf of Osoyo's taxpayers and spend our money basically wasting amounts and has cost the town significant sums. Tonight, this budget of 5 years will cost the taxpayers more sums. For example, for much less than the amounts charged by True Consulting, we could have a civil engineer on staff on full-time basis. For the record, the town of Osoyoos paid following amounts of dollars to True Consulting, an engineering company from Kamloops. 2022, over $920,000. 2021, $947,582.78. And last 2020, $760,402.32. With this letter, I'm attaching 2 pages from Independent Elias Group, consulting company from Vancouver. For the record, I did include it in my letter dated February 22 and 2023, pages 7 of 8, pages 8 of 8, 2023, 27 5 years, financial bylaw 38101/2023. Mayor McCortle and members of council, I would like these pages of my tonight's presentation as a council watchdog read 2024-2027 5 years financial plan by law number 1386/2023 to be part of the agenda special open meeting Tuesday tonight, September 12, 6 p.m. Total 5 pages. And according to the independent Elias Group consulting company from Vancouver, in their report to previous mayors and councillors and chief administrative officer for advice under 2.5 contract oversight, the current engineering consulting relationship in particular has been in place for an extended period with no competitive process and very little control over work ordering. Under B4, currently engineering consulting organization controls access to substantial and important town information such as key locations and mapping. Page 7, page 8 of 8. B6, the current process for work ordering and approval with engineering consulting firm is decentralized and lacking in any strong internal control. B 3.3, operational services, C1, primary objective should be to hire an experienced, competent operations manager. Secondary objective should be to hire a professional civil engineer as the director in order to in-house services for maintenance of engineering records and basic activities. And I hope Mayor McCortle, Councillor special administrative personnel take on. Time is we have a town civil engineer in our payroll. Even we can afford them 300,000, best one, him or her. If we don't have enough work, we could send it to the local communities and charge them for it. So that's why it was done, and thank you for this opportunity. Good luck.
Thank you. Did you have something that you wanted to leave with Mrs.
Yes,
Shelton?
yes, one.
Please give it to Mrs. Shelton. Thank you very much.
I guess we are saving some money by not having air conditions. Thank you.
Next, looking for Ron Dunn.
Good evening, council. My name is Ron. Oh, Lord.
No,
I'll
that's
give you
not
five.
the end of your. You get 5 more.
Okay. No problem. Anyways, my name is Ron Dunn. I live at number 18 Swan Crescent. And I'm here to go over some of the things that are perplexing to me in this proposed budget. I was looking at it and I understand that you're trying to get 12.74%. That's the property tax. Then there's a user fee tax there that is going to be on there. And for water, it's going to amount to about 153%. And for sewage, it's going to be 126% more. That's just for this year. Now, my big concern here is what are we going to get from that? This is the user. This is taken care of as it is now. We have, for instance, a problem with the sewer. We've had this smell all summer. And according to a written thing that was put out in May the 18th, that they determined 90% the cause is cell number 2. And that possibly they will have to drain it and clean it. We don't know if there's a leak. Where does this stuff go? Is there provisions with this money that's going to be coming up? I think you're allocating for sewer $2.9 million for the next 5 years. That's $580,000 a year. I'm wondering, what are we going to get? You know, if you look around the room, we're all close to the same age. We are on fixed income. We want to pay our fair share. But we want to know that the money is being spent wisely and that there's a vision. And I look at the 2 new councillors. For instance, it was also stated in that May 18th statement that it wasn't viable to look for a better sewer system because it was going to cost upwards of $40 million. The 2 gentlemen here were at a symposium that was held up at the golf course. There was nowhere near that figure that was proposed at that. We voted you in on the hope that you 2 would add life and vision to this council. I'm not sure we're getting it yet. What I'm seeing right now is a wish list, a catch-up list of trying to catch up to the other communities. What has happened? I want to see the leadership from all of you. Please go back and look at what we've got here. What's in that? And don't just take what is given to you. Look at it. Do your homework. That's what we hope we got when we voted for you guys. So please think along those lines. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Steve Boyce.
Outside, Steve or Keith?
What was the name out here?
What was his name again?
He was
Their
here.
number went outside to cool down.
Steve Boyd.
Steve Boyce. Maybe we'll go on to the next one, and if Steve comes in, he
We
can be
couldn't hear
next.
whether you said Keith or Steve, so we were trying to.
Oh, is he here?
Who knows Steve?
Okay, go to the
No,
next speaker.
Let's go to the next one, Clint Hawes.
Here, he's here.
Is he here? Come on, Steve, top footed up here. Let's go.
No, not here.
No,
Go ahead,
All right.
Landon. He comes in, we can do next.
Lots of people left.
They can't hear.
We had 22 people outside here, so, and we can't hear.
I'm sorry.
Okay, my name's Clint Loss. I live at 8 Lilac Court here in beautiful Soys. I am a very concerned taxpayer. The last time I was here at this podium, I left with a statement. I said, "Do whatever you do, make sure that you spend the money wisely." Well, after looking over the report and some of the things that I've seen in it, I find this really hard to believe that you're going to be spending the money wisely. I look at an area that is on Main Street, in between the Bank of Montreal and Scoopsy's Ice Cream. You've spent $75,000 there already with so-called benches, tables. And I defy anyone to tell me that I'm wrong when it comes to that. I've never seen more than 4 people at one time sit there. Because you can't in the summertime, because you roast. So I don't understand how you could spend that kind of money. Then what really upset me was that you spend, and you all said it's okay. You're gonna spend $450,000 more. Come on, guys. Spend the money wisely. That is not wise, because you turned around and said that, well, we may hold events there. Well, you can't hold events there until you put in water, until you put in sanitation, until you put in washrooms, until you at least build some type of a stage or platform. And the big thing is, we all know what it's like here in summertime. Where the heck are you gonna park? We have a tough enough time as it is. Come to that show. Trying to accommodate all the people. Luckily, we got a big lawn, at least they can sit. You've all been there. You've all clapped. You've all enjoyed all the proceedings that have gone there. Well, spending that kind of money bothers me. Another one. I really was dismayed when I read this. We want to widen. What? In the area of Veterans Park, which is right by the bridge, all the way up to, I think it's the area just across from Nestor. Excuse me, I can understand it if we didn't have any sidewalk. But the sidewalk looked pretty good to me. And you want to spend money to widen it. Oh, here we go again. Are we spending the money wisely? Absolutely not. Other thing, I understand that you're only going to put in $25,000 for all the groups of people and volunteers that make this town what it is. You're going to take 5, 6 groups of people, volunteers, and you're going to say that all the work's going to get done, and we're all going to get a little bit of that $25,000. Come on, guys. You know, for a fact in your past agendas that more of that has been spent. And look what you get for it. You stop this, and you'll kiss all the volunteers goodbye. You will not have a festival society. You will not have music in the park. You will not have all these areas that bring people in. You won't have Cactus Jalopies, because these people are going to turn around and say, why should we do it? We can't do it. You're all sitting here saying, and past people are saying that, hey, we got to have to worry about everything being more. Even yourself said, we $9 million fit, now it's more. We're gonna have to go back and get some. We're gonna have to go back and get some more. Well, I don't know why we would be any different all the volunteers. Take away the volunteers, you don't have a parade. You don't have fireworks. You don't have the July 1st day down in that area, which is so mostly used. You won't have it. You won't have any of the things that go on down there, like tomorrow. Appreciation for firefighters. That's what we're doing. It's all volunteers. We don't get paid. We don't get any of the recognition. The town does. Take it away, guys, and you're gonna lose your shirt because this town will die. It's been said how many times? $1.2.
Your 5 minutes is up. Can I point out, because you brought it up, Mr. Hawes, that the 85th Street Plaza, the money for that was a grant, and it does not come out of taxpayers' dollars. And it was a grant that we got that could be only spent there.
Then use that money for areas you've already got, like fix the band shell, it's rotting away.
No,
Spend the
that's-
money where it's needed.
Sorry, that's a different one. But believe me, we've written down your comments and we appreciate them.
Well, you got $1.2 million to do it with that you kept and clawed back. Now you got caught by the provincial government and they're saying, you don't spend it, we're taking it back. Now, what do? Well, we better do some big ticket items to use up that money. That's what you're doing.
Thank you.
Can we ask
No,
a question?
no, you
No.
may not. I'm sorry. Mr. Sergeant, you'll have your turn when you come up.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
I just want to point out that there are some things that are being said tonight that are not quite true, and we will make sure that,
No.
excuse me. This is a proper run meeting and we will not have people making comments. You will have your turn at the microphone if you wish to say something. I'm sorry. I'm now going to go on. Steve Boyce is not there. No. Sarah Vanderhoven.
Good evening. Today I want to address a crucial issue that has been plaguing our town.
Excuse me, could you say your name and your address first?
Sarah Vanderhoven, 10129 74th Avenue, Solis, BC.
Thank you.
It's been plaguing our town, Solis. The lack of leadership and the absence of solutions to our major water problems. It is particularly perplexing to think that the town council would propose a property tax hike in these circumstances and anticipate widespread support. However, I believe there are a few key reasons why such an expectation exists. Firstly, let us acknowledge the severity of the water problems in our town. We are confronted with a dwindling water supply, decreasing water bills, and inadequate infrastructure. These challenges demand immediate attention and well thought out solutions. However, the lack of efficient leadership and tangible actions has only perpetuated the issue, causing frustration among the community members. Now, how does the council's proposal for a property tax hike fit into all of this? Despite their failure to adequately address our water problems, it is important to remember that funds are necessary to implement any meaningful change. Infrastructure upgrades, water conservation initiatives, and improved water treatment facilities require financial resources. A property tax hike may be seen as a way to secure the funds needed. However, what else are we doing to combat these pressing issues? Secondly, it is essential to consider that residents of Osoyoos are deeply invested in the well-being of their community. We understand that our town's prosperity is closely tied to the availability and quality of water. While it may be frustrating to support a property tax hike when previous attempts at resolving the water problems have been lacking, We must acknowledge that financial investment is necessary to initiate the change we desperately need. Moreover, the council may argue that the proposed property tax hike is a short-term sacrifice for long-term gain. They may justify this decision by emphasizing that the increased funds will be specifically earmarked for addressing the water problems plaguing the town. Presenting a clear, transparent plan that outlines how these additional funds will be allocated and utilized could generate support. Transparency is likely the key to rebuilding the trust and confidence of our community. Lastly, engaging the community in the decision-making process is vital. It is imperative that the town council actively seeks input from the residents about the proposed property tax hike. By incorporating public opinion and actively listening to the concerns and ideas of community members, the council can begin to rebuild the bridge of trust. This in turn will increase the likelihood of public support for initiatives aimed at resolving our water problems, etc., etc., etc. In conclusion, it is disheartening to witness the lack of leadership and solutions to the major problems in Osoyoos. However, the council's proposal for a property tax hike, while initially met with skepticism, may be seen as a necessary step towards securing the funds needed to address our pressing issues, water being one of the most important ones. Actively engaging the community and demonstrating transparency, the council may be able to garner the support necessary to bring about positive change. We as residents must actively participate in this process, voicing our concerns, offering solutions, and holding our elected officials accountable. Each one of you is put here to represent our town to the best of your availability. From what I see, that's not happening. People are concerned, people are talking. You need to communicate with this town. Thank you.
Thank you. Ron, Sergeant.
My name is Ron Sargent. I live at 14 Chardonnay Court. I had a couple of notes that I wasn't gonna go by, but I've changed my mind. I feel, not being a politician, not knowing how everything runs here. I came to a meeting today, and as far as I know, when we have a budget, it should be followed. They have taken $40,000 and have increased it up to $100,000 so they can survey what to do with our parks. I've been complaining to this city for 4 years. There is no washrooms to use in the wintertime for people to walk from A to D. We are told to exercise by our doctors. We're told to do as much as possible. We have tried to get washrooms open. They built a brand new park over at the end of Cottonwood that has a bathroom with 0 heat in it, so it can't be open in the winter. They need to hire somebody to look at the park and figure out what they're gonna do with the park in the line of how it's gonna work. So they need a consultant. We have looked at other parks that are there. I don't know if you've done a feasibility study on whether $125,000 is good to be spent over on the park. I've got it in here. Anyways, it's 125 grand, $40,000 consulting for another park. Consulting on all kinds of things, but it doesn't seem to matter, because if we don't have enough money for a consultant, let's get another one, we'll boost our budget. I think what we need in this city is, maybe when I was in business, I got audited 2 or 3 times. Maybe our accounting needs to be audited by the Revenue Canada or whatever, to make sure that money is going where it's supposed to, instead of just being wasted all the time. We're doing an airport that needs lines. those lines, 15 grand could be fixed so that some bathrooms got heat, so I can walk from the east bench to downtown. Come shopping in downtown and have a washroom that can be used. Don't tell me there's a washroom at the city hall. It closes at 4, it's not open on weekends. In the winter time, there is no place to go, find a tree. You said the plaza is $400,000. I was at a or at a meeting here where they increased it to $1 million. There was 400 grand coming from one place. They needed more, so they took 400,000, if I'm correct, from the RMI to bring it up to the 900,000. But then they were asked, oh, what if there's an it goes over budget. Let's throw another 100,000, so from 900, so now that plaza's costing us $1 million when it's done, and no bathrooms. Somebody questioned, well, what about the trees, the birds pooping and whatever? What about the humans that have 0 bathrooms in this town to use? That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
But
Not even close to what I wanted to say.
Well,
that's all I had was
Having
5
trouble with
minutes.
some minutes. RC Cottonwood Drive, RC Van.
Thank you, Mayor, that's me.
Oh, is
And
it?
Don is good, thank you, I have nothing more to add.
Okay, thank you very much, and I'm sorry I couldn't figure out what the name
But
was.
that's very close. Good enough.
Okay, next is Denise Blasco.
Hello, everyone. Denise Blasco from the chamber. I'm doing a little bit different ask and a different conversation, but of course it ties in very appropriately with what's being discussed now.
Excuse me, can you speak up a little bit more?
Yeah.
Can you speak into that microphone? Is it on? Mrs. Hilton?
Yes, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
Into the room.
Yeah. It really doesn't project that way, but go ahead. Use your loud voice.
Right, okay, got it. So just for anyone that didn't hear, Denise Blasco from the South Okanagan Chamber of Commerce. We cover Soyuz all the way up to Kaleden on the regional chamber role to support the business community. We have been working with the towns in our region for half a year to a year now with business retention, expansion, and relocation. So just a real quick update on that is that we have completed majority of the first parts of our project going into business walks in the fall. And so we're here now for year 2 of the project for an ask in the budget for money to go towards the REDIP program, which is coming up, and that's Regional Economic Development Infrastructure Program that the province is putting on. And they have a fabulous opportunity, again, just with all the conversations going on, where we can maximize our dollars with 20% coming from the municipalities, 80% coming from the province for us to invest in our business community and our economic development in the communities. So our organization has been working with community economic development experts as well as our liaisons. Johnny Chung's our liaison here. Rod Riesling was at our meeting last week and we had conversations about where we're going next. And this is it. We're at the place of asking. October 30th is the deadline for the provincial funding dollars. So we're working on putting in an application. And so I have some things to leave behind with Brianne and then also with the budget, because community economic development, for those that don't know, it's important. It's something that we need to do, could be doing, should be doing just on a regular basis, a dedicated organization that is working towards helping building strong communities. And so that's what we're working on. What came out of all of our outreach and our efforts so far with our business retention expansion is that we need a dedicated organization or a collaborative, we're calling it, that works on regional economic development. So right now we've just called it South Okanagan Community Economic Development Collaborative. It would include the towns as well as all of the areas from area A, C, D, I, as well as other partners like Okanagan College, the Counseling Center, everybody that's here for the health and wellness of the business community. We want to build that collaborative. As much as we love coming to present and we're in council, we have 3 minutes to share with you what we want to do. But that meeting last week, I don't know what the gentleman thought, but that's what we need to do on a regular basis. What's going on? This is what we're hearing from the business community. These are the opportunities out there, and this is what we can do together. So again, right now, the grant that's coming up for application, and we've been speaking with the province regularly. They're very excited. As we know, there's not money everywhere, so they like the regional aspect for all of us to work together. We work in Soyuz, we live in Oliver, work in Oakgate Falls, right? Everybody's everywhere, and we support our communities wholeheartedly. So we're really thankful for the input from the province. And so right now, as we're looking at it, we went by percentage of all the different towns and regional districts based on 2021 population. And we calculated it out to be for 25,000 for the town of Soyuz to come at for year 1. In a perfect world, but I hear we have lots of budget asks this year. In a perfect world, we could get to 50,000, so we could maximize the dollars from the province. I don't know if this is ever going to be seen again. It's the first time I've seen it with the province here, specifically for these types of projects. So we have a bit of a draft for you. Again, it's coming up October 30th. And we have the pieces falling into place, but we have just the draft to show you for now. It all takes on from the business walks that are going to happen in September and October, right? We'll get all that data together, find out what the businesses need, what the communities need, put the action plan in place and put the application in. But again, amazing opportunity to be able to maximize our dollar, 20%, 80% with the province putting that in. The chamber and some of our other partners would put in kind, which allows to go into that dollar amount so we can even increase it as much as possible. So again, I know you guys have a line item already for economic development in the budget. But yeah, 50,000 is perfect in a 2-year. But I understand that may not be possible with how you operate, but so at the bare minimum, 25,000 to get the project going with what we have put together in the province.
Thank you very much. You're the first one that's come up with something to add to the budget.
That's right, you can leverage some dollars. I think
Thank
that's
you,
a good
thank
opportunity.
you very much.
No
Yeah.
question?
I think we have Councillor Chun on the committee, so I'm sure we could find out the information from them. Thank you so much. Okay, next is JF Bonding.
Good evening. JF Lanier, 28 Empire Street, and also 32 Empire Street. What I'm hoping to do tonight is just bring you guys a different perspective or a different angle from what we've already heard. You obviously have homeowners that are worried about their tax titles, they're worried about where the money's going.
Speak louder, please.
Sorry, try to get a little closer. So I'm gonna try to give you a different perspective from what we've already heard tonight, so that you have more of a broad scope of how your citizens feel. I've always been proud and I'm usually excited to call Soyuz my hometown. Unfortunately, in the last few years, the growing costs of running a small business in this town has made me look at other locations. I've had to consider profitability. Mine is one of the very few businesses that doesn't count on tourism that comes to this town. So from that viewpoint, relocating is actually something we may look at. We employ over 10 employees year round and not seasonal in this town. I can tell you that it's tough to thrive year round in a town that's really based around the tourism season. I really do fear for the future of small businesses in our beautiful little town. And based on the proposed budget you're looking at, I've already had employees looking at different places to live, and that is my biggest concern. And I think that's what you guys should consider when you're considering the budget. We don't want to lose our workforce. And if they can't afford to live here, whether it's the taxes on their homes, or whether it's the taxes on rental properties that force landlords to make rents go even higher than they are in this town, we're going to look at a real problem as far as having young people employed in this town, people that are raising families, people that keep our schools occupied. And that's what I want you to consider. I think there's room to sharpen your pencils. I think there's room to make some cuts. I know that in business, we have to make sacrifices on years that we have to actually add growth to our businesses. If we want something, whether it's a new tool or a refreshment of our location, or some more advertising, or whatever we choose to do with that year's budget, we always make sacrifices to accommodate what we're looking at as a business plan and as a business structure. So I implore you to just do the same with this budget. Obviously, there's a lot of pushback already, and it's already been stated that if you have a good look at it and we propose something that's a little easier to swallow, I'm sure you're gonna see it a little bit better. I don't know if I've said this already, but I do know the struggles of startups are nearly impossible in this day and age. And I think that's something that we all know. If somebody wants to start a business from scratch, the costs are absolutely through the roof. A tax hike, which means higher rents for a higher property purchase or higher property maintenance, is going to really hurt small business startup in our town. My experience tells me that we can't just keep letting labor go to Alberta for higher wages and more affordable housing. We already struggle in this town with affordable housing. There's been efforts to change that, but it's still resulted in housing that we can all agree is more expensive than other areas around here. So from that standpoint, what you're proposing is very dangerous as far as pushing away the younger labor force. I was at an interesting meeting about a month ago where Chief Louis spoke, and he led in with, this was his lead into his speech. He said, "Do you know why Asus almost lost their school?" And I was like, wow, I'm all ears here because I really fought and I felt that school was something we were keeping in this community. He says it's because they didn't support business and just about paid the price for not having enough year-round laborers, year-round people that live here, that raise families here. And so think about that when you're going through this process. I urge you guys to vote no on this budget, go back to the drawing board and do like all business people and reconsider. Like I said, in business, if we need money for growth, repairs, we have to sacrifice certain things. I believe that this budget is more about an ask, and these are all the things you could do to improve the community, but I don't believe they're all necessary in one fiscal year. Here. All right. So you have any
Thank you very much.
questions?
No, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. I am at the end of my list, so no one else has signed up to speak. Would you please come up to the microphone then? Name and address, please.
My name is Liam Brennan, 67 Harbor Key Drive. It was nice to see other people talking about business, so that's kind of what my notes are about. So I'll stumble through this as best I can, some of my concerns. I want to start by saying how much I absolutely adore our little town. The town's lack of support and understanding for small town economy and our businesses has reached an all-time low for me. We need leaders that understand the actual cycle of our small economy and the businesses that feed us all. Recently, the lack of support and urgency for car shows, fireworks, issues with fires, smoke in the air, constantly publicly telling our tourists not to come to our town, or putting up unnecessary roadblocks for huge revenue providers to our local businesses, who quite frankly are not going to survive much longer. And most definitely no new businesses will bother joining the sinking ship. On that topic, I've been a very aggressive, successful, self-made entrepreneur, created my wealth on the coast and moved here in 2017 and invested all my life savings into our town. Real estate, small businesses, property development, employing hundreds doing so. After 7 years of business here, I decided to retire early and close my businesses and lay off my staff due to it just being too difficult to be successful. My last venture here of building a commercial building that cost me over $5 million. The town had no problem taking my $75,000 for the building permit. They had no problem taking my $50,000 in property tax. But now my building sits half vacant due to the town turning down business licenses for new businesses wanting to come to town. And overall not giving a crap about business in general. Do you think a guy like me will put 2 ounces of effort into our small economy? Likely the exact opposite. I'll sell off and retreat. We can't have leaders that have no understanding of business and how important tourism revenue and any revenue is to all of our existence in this town. I need leaders wanting to support me at any cost as it's a guy like me that feeds our economies. When I first started looking around here in 2017, the town of Oliver was willing to wipe out the property tax for 2 years on land I was willing to buy if it helped bring business to their town. Yet after spending my life savings on business in Osoyoos, they turned down new businesses wanting to move in instead of looking at a vision and making things happen. Any idea how or who is going to replace the revenue created by the car show or the fireworks? Or an entrepreneur like me? It's not happening. Don't forget, if me and others like me give up on this town and its leaders, say goodbye to our tax dollars. And in case you don't understand, when I employed people, they could afford taxes. My laid off people can't afford taxes. And for those of you that support this leadership, great. When myself and others like me give up and leave town, you can cover our tax dollars. And I hope you're ready to ingest the type of funds into our town and economy that I have. This budget has a major tax increase to me and my fellow locals, which I would have no problem paying if our leaders would wake up and start supporting the dwindling businesses and their efforts before it's too late. Save our paradise, change the weak leaders. I'm scared. I'm scared for my personal investments. I'm scared for all local people and businesses. And I'm scared for the direction our leaders have this town heading. Thank you.
So we again have come to the end of our list. I don't see anyone else wanting to. Mr. Marcelli, you have something different?
No,
No.
yeah, something different, absolutely. And it's going to be short.
Very short.
Oh, yeah. Councilors, laws, council, and I wrote a letter. And I ask politely, please, put bumpers, speed bumps on along the Marina and Lions Beach. Yes, it says 30 kilometers. I am contracting as a contractor. I cut the grass and look after houses along the Lions Park and Marina and the other side. I seen it, witnessed, almost accident happened. Thank God that never happened. Because parents are there with the kids. Kid as a kid, they take off. And I seen it. And I was shouting at the person, lucky he had opened window to stop, to slow down. Please do something. Forgive it this budget.
Thank you very much.
Thank you kindly.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Ron Sargent, 14 Chardonnay Court. The question I have is, I don't understand why every, I would say, 6 months or more, we don't have a question period, so we can ask the counselors why they're increasing a budget by $60,000 like they did today, or why we can't have a meeting to ask a question. Have you guys even looked at some of the alternatives that were brought to the council, or not to the council, but to the city, or sorry, town, back when the last election was? There was sewer, a different type of sewer, new technology. I don't know, like technology, but new technology that was brought in that was going to be a lot more inexpensive, from what I gathered from the other meetings. Have they been looked at, or have they just been dropped because the town doesn't want to look at other things? That I just don't find, when I send in complaints about sidewalks, bathrooms, when they open up one bathroom for me, they put an outhouse in it. Instead of putting heat in it like they should during the summer, they're gonna put another outhouse in front of it on the Pioneer Walk. Instead of that, why not take that money and put some heat in there? Why not open up other bathrooms? Instead, you guys make a bathroom brand new, and there's no heat in it. We're in Osoyoos. Everything freezes. You open up a bathroom over on, at the marina. Who launches a boat in January, February, or March? Instead, you waste taxpayers' money by putting in an outhouse. And it just doesn't, I don't understand why we can't have a question period at some point during the year. Whether it's once a year, every 6 months, I'm sure a lot of people would attend question period, so that there isn't all the big waste of money. That's being wasted in my mind on this budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sargent, I'd like to point out that that you were sent, when you were here the last time, you were sent a letter from town explaining.
The last time, but I've been here where people have complained it's been months that they didn't get a letter from. The first time I sent a letter and emails, 4 months went by almost before I got an email back. And that was because I came and addressed the council, and then before I even got home, I got an email, but that was 4 months, and I had addressed the council before I got an answer back.
Totally understand your point, and I'd just like to tell you that many of the things that people have brought up tonight have been dealt with. We have looked at bathrooms. We put that on our budget. We have done a lot of things that people have said that we haven't done. So, no, I'm sorry,
But when we brought up the $400,000 for the park,
Yes.
instead of clarifying it that it's $1 million, you just said 400,000. So everybody here thinks it's a $400,000, not $1 million.
I didn't say 400, I just said there was a grant for that, which
Of 400,
I don't remember exactly what.
I remember.
The grant was paid, like you was.
I understand what the grant's for and it can't be spent on other things, but we could have got a grant and fixed up Gyro Beach versus.
We are looking at that as well. So I just want to thank you all for coming tonight. Please know that on Thursday, we are having another open meeting where we are looking at the proposed budget. And I want to point that out. It is proposed. It has been put in. We will go through every item. We will take into account some of the things that you have mentioned tonight. We will look at whether that makes sense to spend that much. Sometimes, and many times, we have adjusted things, or we have looked at putting it off for another year in order to try and look at things better. So let me tell you that this council and our senior staff are very, very much invested in looking at what is best for Osoyoos. We are all taxpayers too, so we are in the same boat. And I just want to thank you all for coming and for listening and speaking, and we have taken notes on everything. By the way, the budget meeting on Thursday is open. Is it on Zoom? You can look at it on Zoom. It will be available that you can watch, and please listen to the conversation. And we thank you all for coming.
Sue, I think everybody here is just saying one thing. Be a responsible council, not an irresponsible council.
Absolutely. That is definitely what we are attempting to do, all of us. So thank you.
Be transparent.
I'm going to ask for a meeting to be terminated. Thank you very much. Councilor King, Councilor Federica, all in favor. Thank you, everyone.